Hi, this is Damon Pistolka, host of the Faces of Business podcast, where we talk to interesting people about life and business. We cover their backgrounds, obstacles they've encountered, and find out what drives them. Along the way, our guests share nuggets you can use to drive your success. Reach me directly, damon@exityourway.us, or check out our website, exityourway.us, for more information. I hope you enjoy our show. Hello, everyone. Thanks again for coming back to the Exit Your Way Business Roundtable. I went live a little bit prematurely there, and Andrew was about ready to say something, but we got it.
It wasn't swear, no cussing. It's okay.
No, it wasn't. That's my job. I do that without even trying.
Yeah.
So, with us today, we've got Aaron Marberg. Aaron, great to have you.
Yeah, this is great.
Thanks for inviting me, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Business owners out here, pay attention. This
Yeah.
is an unbelievable resource, Aaron is, for business owners. We've worked with them on deals in the past. And anyways, Aaron, tell us a little bit about what you're up to.
Well, you guys want to hear about what's going on now, or background?
Let's start with this. So
I can talk about anything.
Yeah, we can talk about anything. But first of all, is there something that we talked about this before? Aaron's a financial advisor.
I'm not hearing Damon.
What's that?
Huh.
You're not hearing me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can. I that's strange. I can't hear Damon. I can see him talking a lot.
Oh.
Damon, you got to write everything down and just hold it up so I can see it.
Oh, okay.
No, do charades.
Well, this is interesting because
I can hear you, Andrew, but yeah, that's the strangest thing.
All right, I'm going to come out and come back in.
All right. Well, we'll keep going. You can hear me, Aaron?
Yep, I got you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Technical difficulties.
Now, did that work?
Yeah.
Still
that
no.
Is the strangest thing.
No. Wow.
Can you hear Damon? Andrew?
Can you hear me, Andrew?
Yes, I can hear you. Both.
Okay. It's on his end. Go ahead and
jump. I can't hear Damon, though.
Yeah, let's just do this. We'll try one more thing, get our technical difficulties figured out here.
Huh.
Now can you hear?
Now I got you, Andrew.
You can hear me?
I can hear you. Oh, yeah, I can hear you just fine. It's Damon. I've got nothing.
Still can't hear me.
That is the strangest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fellas want me to drop out and jump back in?
Yeah, drop out and come back in again.
Let me try that.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is the first time this has happened to us. Well, thanks for being here today.
We got to get the music to run.
Yeah, we got to get the music to run. Ira got me hooked up with some music this morning, so I know where I'm going to find it, and we need to get that because it's
we could just play the whole music right now. So
yeah. Yep. Well, here I see Aaron's coming back in. Let's see how this works. So
I hear Damon.
There you go. We're good. We're good.
2020, right, fellas?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. It's good
cool.
stuff. So, well, great, Aaron. It's good to have you here. And what I was going to start by saying is when we talked before, we're getting ready for this. You mentioned a little bit about that. You're a financial advisor. There's some things that we might talk about today that, hey, your views, what we talk about today is no way in the opinions of your company that you work for. Just want to make sure that's real clear, because and if there's anything special you got to say, go ahead and take care of that, and we'll take care of it again throughout.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you say that, because it's just an important caveat, and it's true, right? We're obviously subject to legal restriction, but even in addition to that, anytime anybody's talking about their finances and making plans, look, it should never be built along based upon hearing somebody like myself talking on a broadcast like this, right? Because the very nature of one's finances and the plans they should be putting together should be very much customized to them, and that should be a byproduct of a conversation they have with an advisor. Yeah,
exactly. I just wanted to make sure that we get that out in front of everything we're talking about, because I know it is A, legal, and B, important. So, So let's get into the fun stuff, dude. So you grew up in the Seattle area.
Yeah. One of the I guess I'm becoming like a dying breed these days, right? It's, a lot of folks have moved into this area, and I'm a Pacific Northwest resident through and through. I grew up out in Woodinville, and I went to college up in Bellingham, right up at Western Washington University, and I hung around there for a few years afterwards before I moved back down into the Seattle area, and I've been here ever since. So I don't get out much.
Yeah. You didn't need to go see the world to find your career. That's cool.
I guess not. I'm kind of, it's funny you say that, because I was lucky in a lot of ways in that finance to me is actually, like, I enjoy it. I really like it. And I figured that out at a relatively young age. I actually remember being fascinated by finance, going all the way back to high school. Right. So, I went into college and obviously, took some other classes, but, absent something completely blowing my mind, there was no question that I was going to major in business with a focus in finance, which is exactly what I did.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's cool.
Nice.
I feel the same way. Yeah. When I got around finally in the MBA program to the finance courses, then the light bulb for me went off. That seemed to make the most sense. And I could see it like as a blueprint for all types of businesses. And yeah, so I get it. Although I think we might put some people to sleep here if we geek out on finance.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about you, man, because you're a finance guy, and we'll talk about that in a second. But you've climbed Mount Rainier before, right?
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah. So what the heck do you have to do that? I mean, because I know several people that have done it. I know we've got a friend, Tom Ivankovic, has done it a few times, but what do you do? How do you prepare for something like that?
Well, for starters, you eat a diet that's completely different than what I eat now. No, you do a lot of training from, safety standpoint, right? Because it is dangerous. You need to learn how to, I was on a 4-man rope team, and you got to learn how you navigate on the rope to keep yourself and your teammates safe. I remember we went late season with the snow, so I guess it was kind of the spring. We went up to Snoqualmie Pass to basically practice chucking ourselves down a hill and then stopping ourselves using the ice axe, right? Because there's always the risk that one of your teammates, it's not dangerous when you're up on Snoqualmie, but there's always the danger that up on Rainier, somebody steps through the ice into a crevasse and they start falling, and you have to drop onto the ground and spike your axe in the ground, right, to arrest them, self-arrest them. Right? You got to try to catch them. And then you have to practice. You have to practice the process of, if that happens, what is the process for how you get them out of there, right? There is actually a methodical process by which you use the rope and your team and create anchors, right, to pulling them out of there. And on top of that, I mean, you gotta get yourself tuned up just body wise. I mean, we climbed Mount Si, I want to say 6, 7, 8 times, and the first time just went up there and threw a couple water bottles in the backpack, but by the final couple trips, I mean, you're throwing water jugs in the backpack, and you're intentionally trying to get your pack up to 50 or 60 pounds, and then you're trying to get up this thing as quick as possible, right? You're trying to get your legs ready to be able to get up that mountain. And needless to say, I was lighter in 2016, but I could never imagine trying to do that mountain and not be in that kind of shape, because it is draining. It was a blast. It's a cool experience. I want to do it again in a couple of years, actually, but it's tough.
Was it an overnight camp on that?
Yeah, we did the route up through Camp Muir out of Paradise. So we climbed into Muir, crashed there, and overnight right. We slept for 5 hours and then got up, and because we left Muir at about 2 or 3 in the morning to head for the summit that day, and it took a long time. Our climb in from Paradise into Muir was not pretty. The weather was it was raining a lot. It was pretty nasty. We kept thinking it was supposed to break up, and it never really did. So we got kind of drenched, and then the wild thing was we punched through the clouds to get to Muir. I mean, Muir must have been 500 feet above the cloud line. So now we weren't getting rained on, but we were soaked. And then above the cloud line, it was probably like 21 degrees. So, we're soaked and we're freezing. And the only way you could dry your clothes off was your body heat. So, the first thing you want to do is take all this wet stuff off. You had to keep it on if you wanted to, keep using it. So took a little while to get everything dried out. And then summit day was sunny, but it was crazy wind the whole time, nonstop, nowhere to hide. My buddy had been up 4 times and he said he'd never been anything like that. So it was just draining, having the wind just pound into you and nowhere to hide to take a break. But like I say all this and people are like, that sounds like a horrible experience. I would do it again in a heartbeat. It's really amazing.
Well, I live at 7,000 feet here in Park City, so I'm a little acclimated to the altitude. But how'd you handle the altitude up there? I mean, does that training really help you for that? You really got to get up there for a while.
The thing I learned, and I'm not by no, like I've done Rainier, I did Shucks in another mountain, and so I'm not like I'm not an expert by any stretch. But from what I understand, is it's almost one of those things you almost kind of don't know how it's going to hit you, right? And it didn't really bug me on Rainier, but I definitely noticed when we got from the summit back down to Muir, that when I got back to Muir, I was like, oh my gosh, now like I feel great, 10,000 feet at Muir, and I'm like, I feel like I'm just sucking in oxygen right now. So, we didn't do any we didn't spend a day acclimatizing or anything like that. But I know it just hits people different. Some people they start getting headaches and they get sick and all those things.
Yeah, because I had a friend of mine that I used to work with years ago, and he was describing it to me. They didn't make it because they got in a storm or something. They got up a ways and got close, and he said it was just like one step and rest and one step and rest when you get up near the top, and it was just brutal when you get to the last bit of it. And they turned around, but he said the altitude really hit him hard. So.
It happens, and you're already zapped, right? I mean, you already carry all that weight, and you're way up the mountain, and and you just know how it's going to hit you. But they did the right thing too, right? That's the other thing is you always have to be ready to turn back. That's people try to push through elements when they shouldn't, and that's how you get into some real trouble up there.
Well, yeah, we have people die almost every year up there, if not every year. I haven't heard of any this year, but it's a lot harder climb than people make it out to be because it's it's done a lot, but it is a fairly difficult climb in some respects.
I understand that actually they a lot of people use Rainier as a training mountain to get ready for trying to go do Everest. Right. That's my understanding. Again, I don't that's call it hearsay, right? But my understanding is that a lot of people do use Rainier as a mountain, which is kind of funny, right? Mount Si was my training mountain. They're using Mount Rainier as their training mountain.
Yeah, a training mountain.
I do remember when we were climbing it, right? We're to your point, Andrew, about your buddy, right? Just one step after. I mean, we weren't moving quick. We were going slow, and the 2 rangers that are out of Camp Muir, I mean, they come up and they just fly right by us, right? I mean, they were like up and down the whole thing, and like just no time. Meanwhile, we're trudging along, trying to make it.
Yeah. Well, that's wild. I always like that. It's interesting, that the preparation it takes, and like you talked about the training and then not the safety training too. I didn't think much about that, but like you said, if somebody falls through, there's a lot of things that you have to get ready for, not just physically. So.
Man, that's most accidents on the mountain happens on the way down because you're physically drained and you're mentally drained, and then you make mistakes.
Yeah. Very cool. So, and we'll talk about some other personal stuff too here in a minute, because you did something this last weekend that was pretty wild too. Well, let's talk about that now, because I think that's crazy as hell as well. But so you did a 50-mile in-town hike, and you started at 9 o'clock at night on Friday night and went straight through until Saturday.
Yep. Yeah. It was, I'm finally off the leave, so that's exciting, right?
Yeah.
That was a couple days of agony, but it was, a buddy of mine, he does a lot of these endurance events, and he invited me out to go do it. It's just through this organization called Go Ruck. You know, and I know their foundation's all built around, you know, military, ex-military guys, and that's also the gist of these hikes they set up. So they set this thing up where, yeah, it's a 50-mile hike. You've got 20 hours to get it done. And the way they do it is it starts at 9, but, you know, you get there early so they can talk about some things. And at 8:50, they give you a piece of paper or a couple pages. And the first page is all the safety stuff on it. And then the other pages have the waypoints, but they tell you they give it to you at 8:50, right? And they say, okay, look at the first page, but do not open it, right? And then at 9, you can open it, and it's got all the waypoints in there. And there's no map. Like you gotta decide how you want to go hit all these waypoints. You know, they don't tell you how to do it. It's your choice. So there were 11 of them, and you know, so yeah, we're sitting there and 9 o'clock and flip it over, start digging through these things and figure it out, and, you know, spent 5 or 10 minutes, and then off we went. And you know, we essentially went from Magnolia Park into Fremont, Ballard, up to Edmonds, over to Lake Forest Park, and then down south in kind of the Magnuson area, up into the Roosevelt U District area, up into Capitol Hill, down to CenturyLink, and then back over to Magnolia, and hit about 50 miles. Did it in a little over 16 hours. We got it done, but it hurt. Our pace was not very fast at the end. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if they would qualify that as walking when we were getting to the finish line there.
Well, you may be on a leaf, but Damon and I would be on a gurney after that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I bring it up, because there's no way I'm making 50 miles, but it would be nice goal maybe, but it's cool that you did that. And you said there was one team you said that jogged it.
Oh my, yeah. We're walking along, right? So the way the map was set up, right? I kind of told you we went up into Edmonds. You know, you could have gone essentially the other way. Yeah. And we were in Edmonds, and we're walking along, right? It's probably, I don't know, 2 a.m. or something. I can't even remember. Anyways, but we're walking along, and we're just saying to ourselves, you know, if anybody went kind of the other way, we're probably going to bump into some other teams in the next, you know, hour or two. And like, no sooner did I finish that sentence, and I look up and I say, what the hell is that? And there's 2 guys coming at us. They're jogging, and we're blown away. And sure enough, these guys jogged the whole thing. So, you know, out of this whole thing, I think we got 3rd place, and we did it in a little over 16 hours. These guys did it in a little over 11 hours. I mean, that is like, that's mind blowing to me. I couldn't even imagine trying to run this thing. Then I'd be on the gurney right with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, and with any of these things, I think they said on average only 50% of people make it, because it's more mental than anything. The last 20 miles, you know, you can push through, you're sore, your feet hurt, all those things. It's just more mental than anything, right? It's just, can you keep your head screwed on and just kind of pound through? But, you know, it's a long time to keep grinding on your mind. So that's where you see a lot of people, you know, drop out. I get it, right? It's hurt. It's hard.
Yeah.
So I have to ask them, why do you do it?
Yeah.
Man, that's a good point. You know, people ask me about like a mountain, right? You know, the old joke is because it's there, right? I don't know what to say about this thing. You know, it's just, I tell you, you asked about Rainier to start. When we finished, I hadn't had that feeling since Rainier. It's like this really unique euphoria when you get it done, that you pushed yourself through something that was so incredibly difficult that literally half of the people that try it don't make it. I mean, that, like, the accomplishment, you know, the sense of accomplishment that comes out of that, it was such a good feeling. And you know, I walked away from that, you know, sore and tired, you know, and all sorts of places hurt that I didn't even know, you know, those places could hurt. But I also like had all this energy because of it. And that's just, it's a great feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So you know, you said that, and I was thinking about it after we talked. It's like, man, you don't even think of people doing this kind of stuff in town, in the city, you know, doing a 50-mile walk like that, or a run, and some of those people's in town and just running around with the different waypoints. But that's a pretty cool thing to be able to do, just in general, not 50 miles, 5 miles. It doesn't matter. If you're going to do something like that, it'd be pretty cool. So
this wasn't a COVID event, was it? Or to do something like that? They just did this even before COVID?
No, they do a bunch of events, and in fact, they have the 50-mile one. So it's the big one. They also have a 12 and a 26, which actually somewhat comically, So my buddy who turned us on to this, he didn't tell us about the 12 and the 26 until we were like a week out of the 50, right? I look at him, I say, wait, they have a what?
Yeah, they got a 12-mile, and you took us on the 50. What the hell?
Did he mention that when you got to the 12-mile marker there? He's like, "Oh, by the way, we have another one."
Well, he told us like a week before. I can't remember how it came up. I feel like maybe we were talking about it. He says, "Oh yeah, there might be some other people there that are doing the 12 and the 26-mile one." And I would say, "What are you talking about? 12 and 26-mile gig?"
Yeah.
Well, we weren't going to back out at that point.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, so you went to school and did your finance thing, and you got out, and you're a financial advisor. I don't even know if I told anybody this, but did you start doing financial advisory right out of college, or did you do some other stuff and then get into it, or what was your progression?
So I was, I already knew that I really liked finance. That was the track that I was taking in college. And I knew that I wanted to get into finance after college. So I was actually paying my way through school detailing cars. But I just started basically poking around and asking everybody I knew if they knew anybody in finance, because I wanted to get a job in finance. And I believe it was spring of my junior year. I got a job as an administrative manager at a little financial planning outfit up in Bellingham, and it worked out great, right? Get my feet in the door, cut my teeth. So I did that, for a couple, 2.5 years or so, and then kind of used that as a platform to launch into. I actually started my own independent financial services practice. I operated out of Bellingham for a period of time, and then moved back down to the Seattle area, and I ran that for about 5 or 6 years, and then hit a point where I basically said that I wanted to find a different model with better resources that I could lean on. I just, after doing it for a number of years, I came to the opinion that there were some holes in I think the servicing model as an independent, and I wanted to try to rectify that. So anyways, I started looking around, talked to a lot of different organizations. I actually found that a lot of our industry, frankly, you can have an amazing, enormous shingle over your desk, but functionally the model is actually still very much like the independent framework. So I actually got a little turned off by that. But then somebody turned me on, to Bernstein, where I'm at now. It was different model, different framework, made a ton of sense, and so I was interested and wanted to join. And interestingly, so I was still 27 at the time. And the role that was open that I applied for was an associate position. And I remember when I, came in to talk to the interviewing manager about that, and they said, like, look, you got to connect that dot for me. You're an advisor right now. You want to come in as an associate. And I just said, look, I'm 27 and I've worked as an independent advisor, but like, I want to get a sense of within finance, like directionally, where do I want to go? So I'm okay with it. Like, I would love to come in. It seems like a great way to get a foot in the door, get a sense of the organization, understand directionally where do I want to go. So I did. Came in the door. It was great. Within 2 years, I still had a lot of interfacing as an associate with clients. And within 2 years, the firm said, we want you to start taking on clients of your own. And the rest is history. I've been there 10 years now.
Wow. That's
cool. Tell us a little bit about Bernstein. I know because really that's I know a bit, and I know they're really research-oriented company, and data being so important now. But anyways, tell the folks about that a bit.
Yeah, look, you hit one of the nails in the head. Look, the firm has a rich history. Been around for north of 50 years. Global footprint, only work in wealth management and research. We work as fiduciaries for our clients, and our research platform is arguably the single best research platform in our industry, period. The thing I would add to that, though, that I think makes us really unique is, as a firm, we've also not been afraid to evolve over the years. And And we've really evolved into this organization where we have this multi-family office offering that we bring to the table for our clients. And what that looks like is that, look, we still do all the things that you'd anticipate or you expect from a wealth manager, right? We leverage that research to build custom portfolios for all of our clients. We leverage our teams to help our clients build long-term financial projections and multi-generational projections. But in addition to that, we've built out a number of service offerings that have dedicated teams. So, for example, philanthropy, right? A lot of our clients have goals around philanthropy. Well, each of our clients has a dedicated team to help provide advice around, how do they help structure their goals? What's the best way to, what are the right levers to pull to maximize their impact? Another team that I would point out is family engagement as an example. We have a team that's focused on working with families to help facilitate the conversations around not only transferring wealth, but transferring values, right? Because that's what when you really boil it down, often that's like the single most important thing for folks, right? When they want to help provide a very productive financial future for their kids, but they want to make sure they pass along the right behaviors and feelings about their money as well. Yeah. And we have a team dedicated on that. And there's a number of other offerings that are kind of under this multifamily office structure. Those are service offerings that we just bring to our clients. We don't charge more to do it. So it's a really unique model, really holistic in nature. And I think really gets down to the things that really matter to people when you think about their money.
Yeah, this is great because I think what you're describing here, what Aaron's talking about too, when we're involved with clients and they have a big investment that they're transitioning out of when they exit their business. Yeah, it is such a big event, and not a comfortable event. They've put everything they have into the business and they built it up. They don't have a portfolio necessarily. They don't have diversified. They don't understand the risk. It really is a scary proposition to kind of understand how am I going to live without the cash flow that I get from this business that I've been doing for the last 30 years, right? But at that aspect of it too, what I see, Aaron, what he's getting into with them is really understanding what they want to do, because work does come to an end. You can't be working on the business. Everybody, 100% of everybody who's working in the business and owns it is going to get out. And if you want to get out the right way, but he's, as what they're doing there with Aaron, folks at Bernstein, is understanding what they really want to do. And then we talk about the number that can make that happen, and understanding what their life would be, whether it's philanthropy, legacy, or maybe going into another business or what have you, educational, understanding the real aspirations and desires of the customer. It's very cool and very helpful because.
Well, we've run through those before, looking at a scenario when someone is selling a business, you can evaluate different offers based on what they're going to do after, based on the offer, based on the terms of the offer, all this. And you can go sit down with that client and then talk to them about risk profile and whether they want to invest this and that. And then we come up with that number. You come up with that number, not us. And then we can figure out what makes sense amongst different offers even. Mm-hmm. And that's the cool part that I think some of the stuff that you guys do, that's very helpful with when we're in those situations.
It definitely makes the client comfortable through something like that.
Yeah. I was going to say, you guys know this, right? If somebody's looking to exit from their business and, they're entertaining multiple offers, that's a scary time. Right, because you've worked in your business, whether it's 5 years or 30 years, that work has been paying your bills, and now you're looking at these things and say, well, wait a minute, is this going to be enough? What's this going to mean for me? And to your point too, Andrew, you talk about you get down to what really matters to people. They're like, okay, this is it. This is my big moment, and they start thinking about all these dreams, these things that they want to do. Right, they wanted to get a boat and take the grandkids out sailing or whatever it might be. Yeah. The question becomes, can they actually do those things? Right, so. We've obviously been able to work with you guys, leveraging some of those systems and tools to pull those levers to understand, here's how this deal will play out. Here's how this deal will play out. And that's, we found to be incredibly helpful to at least kind of lift some of the confusion around, is deal, 1, 2, or 3 the right deal, and is it going to be able to, is it going to provide enough for me and my family so that we can do these things?
Or, of course, when, and what's integral, what's, most important, why you are such a valuable partner to Exit Your Way is, if we're not there right now, we're going to put a plan together and operationally to get that business there, so it does get them what they need.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to say that in a perfect world, we always try to work on this sort of planning, well in advance, well before deals. Obviously we do a ton of work when the deal's already on the table, but the earlier we get involved, the better, because not only can we start to get a sense of, where is the business at relative to their goals, but there's also, look, if we discover that they're going to sell the business for X and they only need Y, right now they've got this cushion of capital, and then they start to think about some of these things outside, like philanthropy. And there's actually, there are things that people can do before a transaction that can actually multiply the value of the deal through tax benefits, because if they start, and obviously, look, you got to pull in the CPA, you got to get all the right people around the team. It's having the right teams critical, but you can actually generate so much more value by planning in advance. That's why we pound the table probably ad nauseum. People are already sick of hearing about trying to get involved early, but it's because we feel like we can generate so much more value that way.
Yeah. It's hard because these guys, these people are so busy. I mean, they're building a company. They're working hard every day. But 5 years, if it's within 5 years, you're already almost getting too late. I mean, but we can do it. But the longer we start working on, that identifying the goals and plans, what you want, and stretching it. Hey, what are the big dreams I want to do, and we'll go to work. But having an amazing impact on that. We can get that number.
And you made a good point there, Aaron. Too, is like some of this stuff, philanthropy. People, just because they don't know the number, they don't think about that ahead of time. And I think that's where, if I was doing this and I was in the situation where I was going to do it, I would be out there 5, 6, 7 years ahead going, okay, my business is worth about this. I got about the, what am I really looking at here? Because something that people don't understand, and people listening to this might be a little bit surprised, but you can get $10 million and that not be enough after taxes and everything, right? Because some people get, if your business is making $1 million a year and you're spending $1 million a year, $10 million is not a lot of money. Let's just be honest.
Well, if you got 25 years you have to live, of course.
Yeah. And it's like, so we're not talking about $100,000. We're talking, sometimes this is $20 million that people are looking at, and they're going, oh, is that going to be enough? Because of the different things they want to do, especially if they want it to be a lot of philanthropy, because some people want to get out and donate $10, $20 million when they sell their business or do some sort of transaction, because it's a real goal for them. And this is why the planning, I think, is so critical, because what seems like a big number is not that big when you consider it in the long run. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that you kind of got to the heart of also how retirement planning has shifted over the years, because if you rewind back years and years and years ago, let's just be honest, we didn't live as long, right? So you could retire at 65, and they used to have all the old models around your age should be your percentage in bonds, for example. Well, that was all predicated on this idea that, frankly, we were going to die in 10 or 15 years. Well, now we're living till our 90, 95. It's not unheard of to see one spouse in America, go to 100. So, bearing that in mind, then you got to think about, $1 million is not what it used to be. It really isn't. And then you tack on the fact that look, if you're going to be alive for 30 years, what does that mean from an inflationary perspective, right?
Yeah.
So. It's a completely different equation, and you need more capital to make it work, and obviously knowing what that number is ahead of time makes a big difference.
Well, making folks understand too, as they're going along in business, they're generating net income every year, their free cash flow, and they're taking a portion of that and investing it into their retirement. And they think that's where they're at, but there's a terminal value to that business, right? Which can really fluctuate. And a lot of them don't get sold necessarily. So it's a really a lost opportunity to get a lot of security built back into you. But I think the important part is too, and I think is them understanding it's again a risk profile, right? You feel pretty comfortable. I've been in business for 30 years. I'm running this. I got great cash flow. I've got 2 homes. I've paid my kids through school, or things are good. But how much am I really putting away for that end when you come to the end? And 2, what's the opportunity cost? So this is really, it's all about when you decide to sell. That's part of that plan and nailing that down, because the opportunity cost, I mean, if you have a business that's worth $15 million or $20 million, that's not a liquid asset. There's a lot of equity tied up in it. It's not working for you, other than the cash flow you get from it. So you're not making as much as you think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. And I mean, you guys know this better than anybody, right? Like I said, it's not a liquid asset. Right. And it's not like, if things get tough, if I've got Microsoft stock, I can sell it. Right? I got and it ain't trouble. That's not always true with the business. And we've seen this, we saw a little scare of it earlier this year, but like 2008 was a perfect example where, you had people in 2007, waiting and just saying, I want to get one more turn on my valuation before I exit. And then they got stuck for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, that's, if you were suddenly saying, I'm going to sell it at 65 and now you're 71.
Yeah.
Well, I've never heard anybody say I sold too soon. I always hear it, I sold too late, and they're, and it's not in a good way.
Yeah. Bird in the hand. So
we just did it again because we had people who were holding off end of last year, and now COVID hit. So, that's the risk, right? And again, that's another thing to really, really understand that it's a good business. It's providing great cash flow. It has done for the last 15 years. But if it's 95% of your net worth is tied up into that business, which I think quite a few of them are, that's risk. Talk about that. How much risk is there in that? Rather than take that, if the business is worth 10 million or 15 million, take that money and what else do you do with it? And understanding that if a COVID does happen, if it's 95% of your net worth, then you're toast.
Yeah.
But if you're diversified,
you never know. I know. I was talking to somebody who I know they had worked on a deal where somebody sold their company, not all of it, like 80% of it, I think, with, they had a retained exposure of 20% back in like December of last year. And the company's they are gone. They went under in April, I think. I mean, could you just imagine, right? If they had not done that deal in December, this person would have gone from their entire life's work to gone in 4 months.
Yeah.
So, and I don't say that's like scare people, because look, I'm of the opinion, most entrepreneurs and business owners are very, very good at navigating the risk associated with their business, right? I mean, that's why they're very successful. They know how to pull the right strings and work through tough environments and get through it, and it's made them successful. But they're just, at times, they're just completely exogenous factors that are outside of our control. And this year is, of course, the perfect illustration.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And it's funny because David and I are old enough now. We've been through a few of these pullbacks. We went through 2009. You're around, for the oil embargo, even when we were younger kids then, though. But and all these things we've seen. I'm from Detroit originally, so we've gone boom and bust. We've seen it happen, the tide go in and out, multiple times in our life. But it hasn't happened now for about 10 years. And we have there's a lot of businesses. It's rare if a business is even 10 years old. They've never seen anything like this. Yeah, it's their first rodeo, right? So it's interesting times. But I think that the really important part is, and this is where you really help, Aaron, is helping the clients understand though too. If so many of them are like, I'm going to work and, in the business, it's going great until I'm 65, like anybody else. And that's the time I'm going to sell and retire. That's where we really want to say, sell when you get what you want. And it could happen in 2 years. It could happen in 3 years. When that time comes, make a plan, build a target, go build it, a company to that point, and then sell it. Don't look back, right? Just like if you were in the stock market, you do your investment, that way. It's like, all right, I got these stocks that I'm going to sell here because I made my money on it, and it may still go back up, but I'm a disciplined investor, and and that's the kind of way you got to treat a business, which unfortunately is hard for people to do because their lifestyles are so intertwined with it.
Yeah.
Well, and also what we see often is, people slap an arbitrary value to what they want to sell at, right? And there's no real rhyme or reason, right? It's a round number, right? It's 25 million, right? It's 30 million. So we'll bump into that a lot, and then we'll actually do some work where we can do a little planning. We can say, like, based on everything that you said that you want to do, 18 million would check all those boxes, and then suddenly that $20 million offer looks really good.
Yeah. Exactly right. Because I think we're talking about, it is an arbitrary number. It's sometimes it's just ego driven, or it seems like that's enough money. That is because they're too busy to really think about the exit strategy. And you got to get a whole lot deeper into that to really have a successful transaction, is to step back and go, the number is just a way, it's a flag to tell you when. It's, it really is important to understand what that money will do for you.
Yeah.
That's when you're ready to exit. Right.
Yeah.
And and I know it's really hard because some people don't want to exit. They like the work, but you don't want to, and that's cool too, but you have to, it's going to happen to you anyways, whether you like it or not. And you want to exit the right way. And that's the problem with people who really love doing their work. Yeah, they'll keep working there until either they get too tired, or it falls out, or something bad happens, or they just die.
which all of that creates its own problems.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's worse than if they would have sold for even less before, because they're a lot of times there's nothing to do at that point. And
Well, not to mention the fact too that if you think about, like, somebody doesn't want to give it up, doesn't want to walk away, and hasn't done some work, say with an estate planning attorney. If they got a $20 million business and they die, right, and they still own it, right, now suddenly they may have an estate tax liability with no plan in place. And by the way, there's no liquidity in the estate to pay that tax. So suddenly now the family or the executor has to do a fire sale of the business to get the money to pay the estate tax.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You guys know this better than anybody, right? Fire sale does not demand the most premium valuation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you can sell.
And it's great to have an entrepreneur who's in a business and loves his work and wants to do it forever. But I've seen it happen too many times. They'll keep going, and then there's regrets. A lot of regrets.
Yeah.
Yeah. No matter what, it was a good ride. You did it, but you still got to do that plan for the exit, just the same way you started up that thing at the beginning. Yeah.
Well, good stuff. It's been great talking to you, Aaron. I think, if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can ping me through LinkedIn. It can email me. Email's just, I don't know if my name will pop up at the end, but it's just my first name, Aaron.Marberg, Marberg @Bernstein.com. That's an easy way to reach me.
You're gonna get spam now from all the Forex traders, man.
Yeah. Perfect.
No.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll try to keep that off the radar for you. But no, it's good to have you here, Aaron. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and it's you are honestly the only person I've known that walked a 50-mile hike in Seattle at once.
Stop talking about it, man. You're making like my legs are hurting just starting to think about it. No, I appreciate
brain
that.
Is hurting from your legs hurting about this thing, man. That's pretty crazy. But no, with all kidding aside, great to have you here, Aaron. Just thanks a lot, and we will talk soon.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me on.
You bet.
Thanks, Aaron.
Bye.
Yeah.